5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another episode of the Old School, New School podcast. As always, I'm Will Charles Egan, and we have
C. Meekins.
Chris Meekins. C. Meekins. That's his rap name.
That's my rap name.
If you enjoy the content that we're making, please hit the subscribe button. I noticed we're gaining subscribers. We're at like 70-some subscribers. This is
It's
great.
like crazy.
In a couple of years, I'm going to re-listen to this and be like, that's hilarious. We were excited about 70-some subscribers. But be sure to hit the subscribe button. Hit the little like button. And then
awesome.
Share it with anybody and everybody.
We need as much encouragement.
We do. Because right now, nothing is changing. And if you know anybody that would maybe benefit from learning about fellowship with friends and family and all that good stuff, be sure to share it.
And our goal is to be, listen, this is who we are here, there, and everywhere.
Yeah.
And so our goal is to say, okay, these are two Christian guys that are normal?
Some semi-normal. Yeah.
Or have figured it out so far today.
So today I figured
I'm like, this morning I'm having my quiet time. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
God, you're going to really have to help me because
Yeah.
I'm in the midst of, you guys, blah, blah, blah,
Right.
the change of this moving from a working dog. I know how to do work and I know how to be my own boss, but I don't know how to be like an owner
Right.
and it's like
The whole thing.
It is not coming easy. I mean,
Right, yeah.
change to going, okay, I'm going to walk in and I'm going to tell them these are the changes that I want to do and this, that, and they're working there. I mean, it's like I'm a working class person. I just don't have management skills, and it gives you a better idea. We heard this from this guy. This guy's awesome. His name's Tony CPO. Mm-hmm. If you're listening, Tony, you're the best.
Tony, if you're listening, by any chance.
By any chance. But he always had a management mind. And he would always, he went to college.
Yep.
He'd argue with the professor. He's like, hey, listen, you kind of ripped me off here. This was not worth my 3 credit hours that I paid for this class.
Yep.
And was always pushing. But I asked him one time, he was this big company called Realty One, and he became the CEO of it.
Of course.
And I said, what do you do? He goes, they've hired me it's like an ocean liner.
Yeah.
My job is to turn it around in the middle of the ocean to go the other way without losing people.
Wow.
Without people falling off.
Yeah.
And I've tried to remember that on a smaller level. Excuse me. But that just doesn't come natural for some people. But other people, they're like, oh, yeah, you just got to do A, B, C. Oh, what do you do after
Keep
D?
talking. I got to do something real quick.
Uh-oh.
The cameras. Maybe we'll just edit this part out. Hang on.
This was the best part of the whole podcast. And so he just knows how to do it. And would get asked to be, the president of these companies, and he's very, very successful. Some people can do it. Others,
Not built for that. Wired a little differently.
yeah. I'm built for relationships.
Yes. That is clearly.
That's what I do.
Yeah, you're good at what? You have that Saturday group that you do galvanized, and you don't lead it, but you're very regularly involved.
I'm responsible for it.
Yes.
Get up, do the work. I can be responsible for
Right,
it. Oh,
yeah.
you want me to lead it and prepare a message, which I'll do a sharing. So I belong to that group, and I belong to there's a Monday morning group. We're trying to start another group that starts with lines up with my wife's small group on Monday night.
Right.
And then I what else? And then I'm in a couples group on every other Friday. Do you do small groups and relationship building?
Yeah. What do you mean relationship building? Like,
Well-
am I in a relationship and am I building that? Because the answer is no.
No.
Clearly not.
941.
Thank you for being my wingman, Chris. I am in a relationship with my small group people in that we're friends and developing discipleship. Yes. So the one group that I am in with Chase King, he was on the podcast. Actually, he sat here because somebody forgot to show up. Me. The group that he has with our friend Rose is really good. It's small group, but the intention is to go regularly and be planted in God. It's called Planted, and it's really cool. It's your run-of-the-mill Bible study. You show up, and there's a guy that leads who reads the verses. We slowly go through a chapter at a time, and he's got notes for every little, paragraph section, and we just talk about it. And then we'll kind of deviate every once in a while and end up talking about golfing or fishing, which is what happens.
Okay, so let's go down this path.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're telling John Smith and Mary
Yeah.
Mugugo
Okay.
that they're supposed to, like, their life now, they want to change their life, they want to become a Christian, and now they're tied down to and sentenced to sitting around a Bible study for the rest of their life. I mean, it doesn't sound that
fun.
appealing or
Right.
fun. Yeah, it would be great, but don't we get that at church?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I have this other friend at my job, and I have a lot of, this job that I'm at is, I understand why I'm there now, because I've been able to disciple people and learn how to disciple people in a new way that I never have before. So it's really cool because there's a lot of people asking about Christianity.
What do you mean by disciple?
Well, that's what I want to get into.
Oh, good.
So it's discipling people can be on very differing levels, but right now you could say that the way I'm discipling them is like level 1. Like they're just now asking questions about the faith. They're just beginning to understand, some of which have done Bible studies before and have gone to church before and are thinking about going back, some of which have never and are asking questions. But there was this one girl that was asking about different churches that she wants to go to. She says, I went to Grace Community Church. I was like, or Grace Church. Great church. You should go there. She's like, well, I didn't like it. I was like, okay, well. She went to this other church, didn't really like it. She says she wants to try Bayside. I'm like, oh, that's the church I go to. And apparently she's really close to the Bee Ridge campus, which is where we go.
Okay.
So there's a chance she might go to our campus, but she's also really close to the main campus. She's like right in between them. And she said she wanted to go to the main campus. I'm like, well, great. And I was explaining to her the really cool part about Bayside is that it's in the name, community church. Their biggest focus is not that you pop in on Sunday, you do your thing, and then you leave. That for Bayside, quote unquote church or just relationship with God isn't a 1 day a week thing.
Okay.
It isn't a thing that you just show up for wearing your Sunday best and you kind of listen to the message and you stand for worship and you just kind of tap your foot and look around and think about your meeting
I would
later.
think there's people right now going, what are you even talking about?
Exactly.
Because they come from a different denomination.
Sure.
Where it's like,
What? You what? Worship music. Yeah. Yeah, well, because we go to a contemporary church and we have our own like church bubble, so we don't realize that some of the words that we use are completely alien to some people.
Like discipleship.
Exactly.
I mean, is that like, could you change that word for indoctrination?
Yeah, a lot of people would think it sounds like that.
Yeah, so let's even go back that far.
Yeah, sure.
What do you mean by discipleship?
Mm-hmm. Well, discipleship is, put simply, walking with somebody and teaching them about Jesus. So you're teaching them about Jesus, but you're not just talking at them. Right?
Okay.
You're walking with them, and you're doing life together with this person. You're regularly meeting up with them, or you're having conversations with them.
Answering questions where someone says like, "Why can't I? Why can't I
party?"
Yeah, or
sounds
why
boring.
can't, or why can't I? Whatever. Fill in the blank.
Yeah, exactly. You definitely get a lot of why can't I. I've had a couple of those why can't I, and I think
so. It's explaining why can't you, or
why shouldn't you?
Why shouldn't you?
Yes. It's not that you can't.
The benefits. You're talking more about the benefits.
Exactly. It's not. Well, when you're a Christian, now you can't do all of these things. It's now that you're a Christian, you get to do all of these things, and because of that, you don't need to do all these other things that you were doing in the past. You shouldn't do them because it's not life-giving. But the whole point of explaining discipleship to people and encouraging them to come to church and get into a group is so that you don't just have those Christmas, Easter Christians, the people that show up twice a year.
Or even every week Christians show up and go, okay, I don't know what the heck they were talking about, but
they do their thing.
I sure feel good about myself.
Yeah, if I checked the box. I went to church this week and now I'm holy. And that's what makes, and it's like refilling your gas tank, and then you go for the rest of the week and then you get till you're almost empty and then you refill it because that's how it works, right? It's like, well, no. If you want a full life, church doesn't just have to be one thing a week.
Okay.
There's a Bible verse I wanted to explain.
Okay.
Because the whole point of the book of Acts, which is the first book after, the gospel, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, is to explain what the early church did and how the early church was formed, and this word ecclesia. Try and say ecclesia.
Ecclesia.
Okay, not bad.
See?
So there you go. It's a Greek word, and you'd think it sounds like you're clearing your throat when you're saying it.
You're supposed to be being kind to me and building me up.
Wow, that's surprising that you actually said it correctly.
There you go. Thank you.
You idiot. No. But ecclesia it's a Greek word for, the body or the fellowship of believers, the people that come together with common goals and they share in their faith.
Okay.
And in Acts 2, the very last little portion, starting in verse 42, this is kind of how I think we as believers should be modeling our fellowships, our small groups, how we do our lives together. And it says, they devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching and to the fellowship, to the breaking of bread and to prayer. So they're devoting themselves to eating together, talking together, having a small group. And like the other day, you were talking about you had people over here for a meal. And that's really cool. That's a great way of discipling someone, just doing life together, like I was saying. Everyone was filled with awe, and many wonders and miraculous signs were done by the apostles. All of the believers were together and had everything in common. Now that's crazy because the people that I'm with, I do not have everything in common with. Selling their possessions and goods, they gave to everyone as he had need. Every day they continued, get this, every day, not just on Sunday, but every day they continued to meet together in the temple courts. They broke bread in their homes and they ate together with glad and sincere hearts, praising God and enjoying the favor of all the people. And the Lord added to their number daily those who were being saved. So they're meeting regularly, and they're not singing hymns and chanting and kneeling in front of the pew and reciting hymns and watching a dude in robes carry a chalice to the front.
Well, it's not heavy.
Right.
It's not like, oh my
Exactly.
gosh. And I would, there was years ago where I'm like, Joyce, I just can't do it. I cannot be in the room with those people today. In fact, I can't be in the room with you.
Can't be in the room with
let
anybody
alone
today.
anybody else. I just want to be. Yeah. But there's a benefit to it. So you were talking, you started going to the, what is that, Monday night small group?
Yep, Monday night.
Monday night small group. It's what, every other week?
Tuesday night. I lied. It's every week and it's Tuesday night. See, I can't even
No
remember.
wonder I can't see you there. I was like,
You're not even there.
you're not even there. So it's Tuesday night every week.
Yeah.
And you started going, why? Because, first of all, because you're
Single. No. No.
Amazing.
Well, because it's all about me, right?
Yeah.
No. Well, because I wanted to go because I am in need of a small group.
And fellowship.
And fellowship, yeah.
And supporting.
And supporting Chase's small group.
Yeah. Because you're the oldest guy there, which is
I am.
Like you're what, 15?
Yeah, right. 12. Get it right. Dude, they called me old. It was crazy. I was at middle school services the other day, and they were like, "Well, yeah, because you're old now." And I literally had to stop and go, that is crazy. What you just said is crazy. I'm 22 years old.
Yeah.
And the middle schoolers now think that I'm old.
Yeah.
What does that make you? No, I'm kidding.
Well, I know. I would go there. They're like, okay, did he get lost? Is he
Silver alert. Chris wandered into a random building.
When we moved here to Florida, the first thing we saw, they have these signs over the highway, and they're like, silver alert.
Yeah.
I was like, what is that? There's some old dude that got lost in his car, and they put it on the highway that he's lost.
Of course, in Florida, they have to make that a thing.
Yeah.
Because it's so common here. But yeah, this group that I'm in, I'm the oldest one there. I'm 22. Everybody else is a teenager. And I wanted to go to, one, support Chase, and two, just because I needed a small group to be in myself.
And how did it turn out? It ended up being more better?
More better-er. Yeah. It was good-er and stuff.
It was the goodest ever.
It was the best.
Ever.
I loved it. Yeah, it's the couple of times that I've been. I try to go every time I can, but, I'm sick or I have something come up, or I have to get fitted for suits for a wedding. that I was a groomsman.
That's the thing about young people. You've always got an excuse for something.
Oh yeah, that's the thing is we're so bad at telling the truth
Like-
and being like I can't go.
Yeah.
That we'll just lie.
Or I don't want to go.
Right. Hi, I don't want to go.
I don't feel like getting up off of the game. My game.
Right. You'll never hear some teenager, young adult respond with, "Hey, I just don't feel like going right now." You'll always have to say something.
Yeah. My mom
has a doctor's appointment at the vet office
next week.
next week.
We're getting them prepared.
We're getting prepared for it. Yeah.
Why do you think people don't want? I mean, because older people are like, "Hey, just not feeling like it, not feeling it." I mean, then you
Right.
get mad because you like clean the whole house. And
Yeah,
they're like,
exactly.
"Oh, I don't feel like coming. Thank you."
Yeah. Well, you did something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why do you think young people don't
Yeah.
want to do this? Well, it's, I mean,
No. Why they don't want to just say, "I just don't want to come"?
Oh, well, there's,
Peer pressure.
it's people pleasing, it's peer pressure, it's, because nobody wants to overtly offend somebody, or just tell the truth, I guess, because there's something scary to confrontation, I think is what it is. And so the kids are just kind of like, I feel like I have to have a reason for everything.
Well, Joyce and I have found that when you invite somebody specifically, when they're invited, "Hey, Will,
Yeah.
we're having this party. We'd like for you to come."
Yeah.
Will goes, "Oh,
Oh.
I'm special." And then he gets there's like 220 people,
Yeah. Oh, come on, dude.
and we needed 221. We paid for 221, so
Yeah.
he was included. But the truth is that when you invite someone specifically, and so my wife is really good at this. I'm learning. I'm learning how to communicate. I'm
One day.
finding out that I have words. I have plenty of words.
Really? What do you think this is,
Go
Chris?
figure. But my wife is very strategic in what she says and her words.
Yeah.
Where I'm just like, "Hey, let's just, how do I make that person feel
Right.
better about themselves?" So anyway, she started this small group where she invited a couple women to understand it and help her develop it.
Right.
And then those 3 women, then they invited another, like, I think it was like 10 total, to come to her house to train them to be part of this small group.
Yeah.
Which now it's not a small group anymore. It's 10
large
people.
group.
It's
Yeah.
a large group.
Yeah.
But they're going to break up into small group tables.
Yeah.
And so, but they were specifically asked and to come over here, and they would talk about what they were doing. And now they started, now you have like this group, which has, like we'll say 25, 30 people
Yeah.
that are sitting around round tables having a conversation. But it was very, very calculated to say, okay, and here's how Jesus did.
Yeah.
So if you think you don't need a small group, Jesus had the 3.
Yep.
There was
There
Matt-
was
it was John,
John,
Peter, and Matthew. No,
James.
James.
Yeah.
Okay, because I just got done reading. James and John were like, "Hey,
Yeah.
we want front row seats.
Yeah,
Can
and-
you get us good tickets? Can you get us a
Right.
backstage pass?"
Exactly.
And they're like,
They got it.
everybody else was like so mad. But he had his 3.
Yep.
Then he had the 12,
Yep.
and that was his like a little bit bigger group. And then he had his 72, where it was like, "Hey, these are the people
Yes.
we see on a regular basis. Hey, how you doing?
Yes.
How's the kids? Whatever." So she's very specific. I, on the other hand, I throw out meat
Right.
to the piranha
Oh yeah.
and say, "Hey, if you're hungry, you'll come in and eat it." And so,
Yeah, I'm the same way.
but we've learned over the years to be very specific. So the other day, and we were going to talk about this the other day, we invited 2 other couples over to have dinner and play cards. And they were like ecstatic. They're like, "Oh my gosh, the table's set.
Yeah.
Why, there's silverware on the table.
It's this whole thing.
It's not even plastic.
Right. It's the real. They brought out the
They're
China
real thing.
set.
No, we don't do China.
No, yeah, of
not
course
in
not.
my house.
Who does
We
that?
have China. It's
Oh, you do?
yeah.
Is it for like Christmas or something?
No, we don't even use it.
You don't even use it?
I hate it because
I-
then
yeah.
you gotta like anyway.
Yep.
So and then we cleared out the table and we played a game called Skull King, which is a blast. It's a blast.
Whoa.
It's really fun. And we had a great time. And
Yeah.
then, when the game was up, I stood up and said, okay, I think it's time for you people to go home.
Okay, leave.
But they're not used to that
Yeah.
of an intentional, no cell phone, no TV,
Yep.
whatever. And so being very specific or being very strategic, you're building into people's lives, which is like a big problem in our society today.
Absolutely.
I mean, and I think probably for younger people too.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, there's not a lot of structure to what younger people are doing. And so for those, because one of the big problems is that we compare our lives to others, and the way that we're doing that is through like the whole influencer thing, because everybody is addicted to their phone, and everybody's looking at social media, and everybody's got some form of anxiety or depression because they're comparing their lives to what they think it should be based off of the fantasy lives of these influencers.
Okay, tell our older audience that that's actually true, that there's people that are really
1,000%.
depressed.
Yeah. Oh, the biggest problem facing my generation, the Gen Z and soon to be Gen Alpha, who are like the younger kids that were raised on iPads, is depression and anxious thoughts, because our lens of life is through what we see on social media, YouTube, TikTok now, Instagram. And these are like these picture perfect lives that basically aren't even real. I mean, you hear stories of there are these hangars, these private jet hangars that rent out time by the hour or even by the 15 minutes to influencers to do photo shoots in these private jets going to fictional places, and then they just leave. They'll take fake pictures in jets and pose so that they look like their lives are all this and that. And
My
then
whole goal in life
it's fake.
was to not be a poser.
Yes. And that some people are now making money off of being posers. And we look at that, we say,
It was easy for me not to be a poser.
yeah, you just were you.
I just was me.
Yeah. But these kids are seeing, well, why can't I have millions of dollars by 22 years old?
And you mentioned that a lot. And so I'm coming to believe that it's actually true.
Yeah, it's weird because it sounds like it's not real, but the Gen Z bubble, I mean, you obviously don't hear about these things. It's very real, and it's very isolated from like the rest of the world. I mean, people in Ghana are not experiencing these issues.
No.
It's very much a local Western thing that we have.
But I was surprised when I was in Uganda watching people walk in the streets with a cell phone in their hand.
Really?
I was like,
It's everywhere.
you got to be kidding me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's so prevalent.
And they can see things around the world.
Same things we do.
So we as disciplers,
Yes.
we as Christ followers,
Uh-huh.
how do you help? I know what my answer is, but how do you help people understand that this is not the answer,
Right.
and to switch from that, because this is like got dopamine special.
Right. It's ironic because the people that are literally listening to us right now are using a cell phone, and they're getting this wisdom from one, which is ironic, but I think there's a time and place for the cell phone and for your technology just in general. I mean, obviously, it does a great deal of good. You can connect to the internet in a way that you never have. You can access information within seconds, which is probably crazy for you to think about. But it's gotten to a point where it's like the pendulum swung, and then it's starting to swing too far, where we had a good place, and then we started getting a little bit too much, and now everybody's just completely addicted to their phones. And it's the problem ultimately is that it's superficial. And the way that the first church did it was by, believe it or not, they met in person, they talked in person, they were intentional with their time with one another, they gave things to one another, they sold their possessions or they shared meals together. So they were selflessly giving their time and their belongings to the other person, and it was just this mutually shared and mutually agreed upon lifestyle where it says everybody had everything in common, where you know that feeling after the group that you had over here where you had a meal and then you played cards, and when you finally close the door after they leave and then you look and you're like, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I'm glad we did that.
Yeah.
You know that feeling after a group gets together and then you finally leave and you have that big smile on your face, you're like, that was good.
Yeah.
Imagine doing that every day with a bunch of people that you love.
Okay.
That was the early church.
So That's all fine and dandy. Is my
Right. Yeah.
phone.
But how do you do it?
But okay, so maybe we have some parents on their phones listening while they're driving their kids to school,
Yeah.
and they're saying, my kids are like, that's boring. I don't want to go to Will's small group, or
Right.
I don't want to go to youth group, or I don't want to do those things. It's boring. Don't you think that it's helping? So discipleship is really just teaching. And we live in a society that's like, it's easier to just pick up my phone and watch a video and tell them to watch a video
Throw
on how
the
to
kid in front of an iPad.
Yeah, how do you do that? And even including teaching.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's easier to
way
do that.
easier.
And so and you have spectacular speakers and all that. But how do you get someone to know that, like, sometimes it's a little painful to be in the room? You're like, okay, I wish this guy would finish this story.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's a lot of
I wish Chris would shut up right now.
yeah. I wish Will would stop talking.
But how do they, why is that part of it? There's something about the law. So in our groups, what ends up happening is, we'll just say on our Friday night, we meet at 6:30, somewhere in our.
Yeah.
So you show up between 6 and 6:30, just hang out and just chit chat
Yeah.
with the same people in the room all the time. Some people you're like, yeah, I really don't want to talk to them,
Right.
and other people you don't. And so then at 6:30, we kind of try to get going, and we're going through The Chosen now.
Oh,
so
cool.
there's a little book. So your homework is to watch season 2, episode 3.
Right.
And so you watch that, and then so we sit down and everybody talks a little bit about that. But then there's this devotional book on The Chosen. So there's all these questions, and it's boring. Okay,
It's very boring.
it's long.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, well, I'm praying there's a point here.
Right. Yeah. Somebody gets to the point quick.
Because you got me for 60 to 90 minutes.
Right.
Tops.
Yes. Exactly.
I have a good friend, Jason, and he's looking at his watch. He's like,
Jason. Yeah.
he's like, well, he's going to be done pretty soon. We should talk to him about ADD.
Oh,
anyway,
sure.
and then we get done and we have some prayer requests, and that's like kind of a slow part. And then all of a sudden, boom, everybody's standing around talking, and nobody wants to leave.
Yeah.
So there's something about so we're here for a purpose to actually about relationships, which is I'm learning at our church. I'm finally getting it. It's about building relationships.
Ah, you finally got it.
And because I'm like all about the big party.
Yes.
Mine's all about the big party.
Oh yeah.
But you get there, you have this common theme. You're actually learning, and I really don't want to learn today, but I'm going to go because I want to be around these other people. And then I'm learning something. I'm like, oh, there you go.
No, what do you know?
What do you know?
It helped.
Maybe if you made a balance, a budget, you would like whatever.
Yeah.
And so, and then we hang out with people that I really like, and then I find out I have in common, and I'm not alone. Or on Monday night, we had a group, and a guy came in, and he's like, he just confessed everything.
Okay.
And his wife just left him like an hour before he came to the meeting.
Wow.
And he told the whole story, and I'm like, man, my life is like amazing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I live in paradise compared to this guy.
I'm doing really good, but now I have compassion because I know where he's coming from.
Yeah.
And so all of a sudden you're like, oh, wait a minute, I'm actually a good husband.
Yes.
Or actually I'm doing okay.
Right.
But and also the part of I have some compassion for someone else. Because when you're wrapped up in yourself,
Yeah.
I mean, you only can see
Yourself.
Exactly. You're so wrapped up, so tight.
Oh yeah.
And it gets you out of there. Yet then you're laughing and joking with people afterwards.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. There's that. That's like the usual flow of like a Catholic service is, you meet beforehand. Oh, how are you doing? How are the kids? Great. Awesome. We're chatting it up. And then you get into service and then you're falling asleep. And then it's over. Oh, okay. Awesome. Hey, so like I was saying before, and then you go back to what you really wanted to do. That is, I mean, to what you were saying earlier, it's like, yeah, it's easier to just like play video games and not go out tonight.
Yeah.
It's easier to just stay home and, well, I don't really want to because I have this instant gratification here. But I can say from my life of experience, from my limited experience, I can tell you right now, I'm very glad that my parents never really let me play video games too much. And there's a broader point to just video games, but when I was younger, I all I wanted to do was do what everybody else was doing, and is play video games. I just want to do this. I want to play Minecraft all day. I want to play Call of Duty all day. I just want to do this. But my parents are like, no, go outside. No, go play with your friends. No, stop it.
Get the hell out of my
Oh, I was like not very much, but latchkey kid where just go outside. They didn't literally lock the door, but they would be like, what are you doing inside? Go back outside. I'm like, fine, whatever, fine. But I'm glad I did that. And I realize now in hindsight that was what was best for me. And obviously if you're younger now, or if you're a parent that has kids now, it is worth it to put up with the temporary fighting back that the kid's going to do of like, Mom, I don't want to do this. I want to play Fortnite all night before school. It's worth it to give them a healthy lifestyle because it's that delayed gratification, because then you'll have a lifetime of healthy relationships and communication skills. And I think that is something that is kind of lacking, is nobody wants to do these groups. And so we're getting to a point where it's all, I'm going to go back, hide in myself.
Okay, so don't you think? I mean, and I don't agree with this, but this is a thought that it's like, but it's all so antiquated.
Yeah.
Like when I get really stressed out, the Grit channel comes on. You know,
Yeah.
Do you know what the Grit channel is?
Mm-hmm.
It's cowboy all day.
Yeah.
Every day.
Right. Yeah.
I can sit there all day long and watch Cowboys.
Oh yeah.
She'll go, didn't we watch this last week? I'm like, yeah.
And we're gonna watch it again.
I mean, that's like watching The Godfather. I mean, I don't even know how many times I watched. Like, well, why are you watching it again? Because
It's the best movie ever.
So anyway, when I watch those, it's like the father, and this is, I'm going to yell at some parents here.
Uh-oh.
The father was like the king of the house. He was like, son, you go over there and do it. And the guy's like 35.
Yeah.
You do what I tell you to. Okay, Paul.
Yeah.
You know, because there was always this hierarchy.
Yes.
And the world we live in now is like there is no hierarchy. You just happen to birth me. And short of that, you're lucky that I'm being nice to you.
Yes.
So we live where people are undermining authority across the board.
And you see the consequences.
And so me as a parent, I'm like, no, wait a minute. This is ridiculous.
Right.
It's my turn to be the parent.
Right.
It's my turn to have authority. And we live in a society that it's like, there it goes.
Of course.
We live in a society that says, hey, you have no authority, yet I have responsibility.
Yeah.
And so it's like small groups are like an old way of doing it.
Right.
It's actually, we need them more now than ever.
Yeah.
Because they will learn something in someone's life, like something's usually said that you're like,
Oh.
yeah,
Actually.
that's probably my problem.
That's good.
That's good. And then you have to make a decision. But we go back to, as a parent, I don't want to be not liked, or I don't want to be, I want to be liked by my kids. I want this relationship.
Yeah.
And my kids, for the most
part,
don't get hated me growing up. I was kind of strict.
Yeah.
But
sure.
I'm not now.
Right.
Because
they're adults.
Well, they're adult people.
Yeah.
But they love me now.
And I think that's how parent relationships end up being.
Yeah.
Is now that they're adults, it's like, oh wait, having parents is great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what you're saying, it's like when you want to return to the old ways, that sounds boring and like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to mean that we have to return to the boring things.
Right. I don't have to go live on a farm and raise vegetables.
Right. Exactly. Raise vegetables and herd
cattle.
Yeah.
Or sheep.
Yeah. Or herding vegetables and raising sheep.
Yes.
Yeah. But you don't have to. That doesn't mean that life now has to be boring and old school, kind of like half the name of this podcast. But that's why I think that's why the name of the podcast is Old School, New School, because you can have the old ways, but they can still be contemporary and new. Right. And that's why I think Bayside kills it at small groups, is because they're taking the age-old principles that work, like getting together regularly, sharing meals, breaking bread, having discipleship, but they're doing it in a way that is appealing to the modern person. And obviously there's a whole conversation there. It's like, well, the church shouldn't adapt to the culture. The church should make the culture. And it's like, what, how do you what does that mean? What does it even mean? But I think what Bayside is doing well is they are making
and a lot of other churches. There's
There's
churches across the nation that are
doing it well.
Absolutely,
because it's still fun. What was fun 100 years ago is no longer fun today.
Yeah.
Me and my dad used to have this joke, and my granddad, of like hoop and stick, like the pinnacle of entertainment back in the day for a child was a ring, a 3-foot tall ring, and a stick. And it was literally, you would take the stick and you would hit the ring and it would kind of roll and you would run with it and you would keep the stick rolling. And that was like, oh my God, this is the peak of human. Did you see that? Did you see him roll the hoop down the street with the stick? And you do that today and it's like, I want to die. This isn't fun. Small groups don't have to be like that.
Right.
You can tie in new fun things like, hey, let's go to the beach and play ultimate frisbee and discipleship together.
Right.
And it's
and once you go to one, it doesn't mean you're married to it for
right.
life.
Yeah.
You go, oh, I actually don't like that group.
And then you can leave.
I don't have to go back.
Yeah.
I mean, you just have to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, or not.
I've done that before. And I did the wrong thing of just ghosting the texts. They were like, hey, you coming back? And I was just, I didn't read that message.
Typical teenager or adult.
Yeah.
I'm gonna. Oh, I didn't get it.
I have a doctor's appointment.
Look at your phone.
Yeah, it's right there. I had a doctor's appointment at the dentist. Sorry, I couldn't be there.
So that being said, so let's wrap this up by saying, why a small group? Mm-hmm. What's the benefit of a small group for being in a group?
Well, it feels good when you're with other people. I mean, the bottom line is human beings are designed for community. Right. And so when you have people around you, even if you're
why
introverted,
the problem was with the pandemic. They keep on going back.
Exactly. Oh my gosh, that was the worst.
Like even Dr. Phil's talking about.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Dr. Phil's going off on COVID restrictions.
It ruined
life.
It
ruined you
for being by yourself.
Yeah.
Now it's the time to get up off your seat.
Yes, and go back to regularly meeting with people.
Being in some kind of a group.
Yeah, even if you're introverted.
You can do anything for an hour.
Yes.
Come to my wife's Bible study. You can do anything for an hour, unless you're a man.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're a man, just come 2 doors down and come to my Bible study, and that's what it's for. So that your wife's over there, or your girlfriend's over there, or nobody's over there, and you could just come here with a couple guys and going, "Hey, this is what I'm, living through." And just you'll be like, "Oh, I feel like somebody knows me."
That was really helpful. Yeah, it's good to be in community because you have people that you can share things with instead of just keeping it bottled up, and then you're learning things and you're helping teach other people at the same time.
Do you think that's what this whole suicide rate thing is about?
Definitely. I think it's definitely having something to do with the fact that, I mean, you'll ask some people and they'll be like, I have no friends. I mean, there are people that will genuinely respond, I have no friends. And it's like, obviously you don't literally mean that. You have friends to some degree, but
you're texting me, so
we're talking right now, but you don't have like a best friend, and that's the worst.
I think that's normal.
Yeah, that's the worst.
Most of the world.
That's worst case scenario is having no friends.
Yeah,
that is literally worst case scenario because human beings. It said in the very beginning of the Bible, it is not good for man to be alone.
Right.
We were designed to have companions, to any degree, whether it's a friend or whether it's a husband or wife. And I think the lack of that will be the detriment of us. And so for basic human needs to the top of like feeling fulfilled, all the way from the bottom, like, food, shelter, community, all the way to your highest fulfillment of self, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. That's psychology for you.
Oh my God.
It's like, it's a basic need and it's like, one of the highest fulfillment things. It's just
what it is.
It's what it is. It's you need it. You need to have people around you. And it's like, well, how do I do that? It's like, well, go to a church, say I'm new, and
I'm looking for a small group.
Yeah. And they will be like, well, we got resources for you.
I got no friends too.
Yeah. Why don't we have no friends together?
I can see why you don't.
Loser.
So anything else?
Get with people. That's
Get with people. Well, for me, it's more like I'm on the other end. I really just like being. The more people I'm around, the more energized I get.
Same here.
And so I like doing that. I mean, I hate going, but then when I'm going, I'm like,
When you're there,
that was
oh,
awesome.
yeah.
You know, that was awesome. Especially like on Monday, I'm like,
Yeah.
wow, this is awesome.
This is the best.
And then on my Saturday group, you know, I more serve. I help set it up.
Yeah.
I help buy the groceries. We have the best breakfast in town for $5. You can't.
Yeah.
We went to a well-known breakfast company on the other day, a breakfast club or whatever it was called. It was $75
Oh yeah.
for 3 people.
For three people.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And for $5, you can get the
$5,
best.
you can come to my breakfast, get a good teaching, get small group, and then you can leave like right at 9 o'clock. And that's what and men for men.
Yeah.
I don't need to have a conversation though with you every day. My wife
Right.
will say, "Do you have any friends?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, that guy over there." Well, why don't you talk to him? I don't need to talk to him. Hey man, hey friend.
Yeah.
I forget his name, but hey,
guy.
hey, I know people.
Yes.
That's all I need for a man.
Exactly.
Women want to be in relationship.
Yes.
Men want to be like, oh,
Men are-
yeah, I know a guy.
Vinny. Hey, buddy, how are the kids? I don't have any
I
kids.
don't care.
That's right.
That's right. keep trying.
Yeah, let's stay that way.
Anyway,
No.
so hey, next week we'll talk about something else.
Yeah. Do you want to have
And-
Jason on? I feel like he'd be cool.
I think we should have Chase or
Yeah, Dr. Hodges.
Dr. Hodges at the Bayside.
Yeah.
At the-
We've got people in the works. We've got things happening here at the Old School, New School podcast.
Thanks for watching.
See you next week.